Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 5 of Brutally Honest, a WoW podcast. My name is Brutall, and today I sat down with Jdotb, Crims, and Casual Addict. And we talked about all sorts of stuff when it comes to the MDI, Mythic Plus, Midnight itself, and just so thankful, so grateful that they took time out of their schedule to talk to me. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you have any interest in Mythic Plus whatsoever, you're going to want to listen to these guys. So I'm going to get out of my own way, enjoy the show. I'll see you after the episode to fill you in on a few quick things. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for episode 5 of Brutally Honest, a WoW podcast. That's right, we have a name now. Buckle up. Today's show is a little bit different. We've had healers on in the past. We've had melee on recently, but today we're going to be talking to 3 players who operate at a level that most of us, for better or for worse, will never actually reach. Players who live in the space between discipline and obsession. We are talking about people who have instinct, people who are calculated. This isn't about routes. This isn't about tuning. This is about the mindset that actually gets you guys to the top 1% and the discipline that keeps you there. Casual, Crims, Jdotb, thank you guys for being here so much. And Casual, we're going to start with you. I want you to take a moment right here at the top of the show. I want you to tell everyone who you are, what you play, what keeps you playing at your level, where they can find you. And real quick, before you start talking, as per usual, all of our names right below our cameras are where you can find them on Twitch. And in the YouTube description below, you can find their Twitters, their YouTubes, their Twitches, everything there. So, Casual, thank you for being here again.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here, first of all. So, my nickname in-game is Casual Addict. I started playing World of Warcraft when I was a kid, like from Burning Crusade. I was like, how much? Was I 11, 12 years old back then?
Wow.
Something like that. I was playing very casually. I was stopping, I was starting, very casual stuff. I started playing more in Shadowlands at around Castle Nathria. I was messing around, I was playing all the classes to figure out what I like, what I don't like. So the story, I will make it short. So I logged into my rogue. I did a world boss. I was playing Outlaw, and I was like, oh my god, this thing is fast. Because I don't know if you guys know, if you press Adrenaline Rush on Rogue, Outlaw, your global cooldowns, instead of 1 second, it's 0.8. So I was like, this is fast. I want to play that for the rest of my life. So for like some years, I was playing only Rogue. So out there, people maybe recognize me as the Rogue guy, the one-trick Rogue guy, however anyone want to call it, I don't mind. So for some years, I've played only Rogue. Then I realized I want to do something more than that. So getting into competitive, you got to play what's best. You cannot play what you like, because obviously your class can be into a spot that it's not meta, So, so I gave it a chance. I played some other stuff. Surely I didn't perform as good as Rogue because of the time invested to Rogue. But I tried my best, We finished some season like rank 1 team in the world. I played DK like previous season. Okay, I'm not super proud. Some teams could beat us if they played, but that's something, I think. This season I'm playing Hunter. We were able to reach rank 1 as well. Now I'm more like a beta gamer. Maybe we will go back on retail again. And also this season I'm trying myself into shot calling, which is kind of rough. My brain is getting melted.
That's tough.
But
in all seriousness, that's tough. Like being the guy who is watching things, calling things out.
It has some fun in it. So yeah, that's me, the one-trick Rogue guy, let's say.
Sounds like you're doing more nowadays. That's a big break between TBC and Shadowlands, though. I know you played Hearthstone between them.
I was playing. I was playing Cataclysm. I was playing Mist of Pandaria. I think the only expansion that I missed was like BFA or something.
Didn't miss much. Don't worry.
I played all the expansions, but I was playing very, very casually. So only when I came back to Castle Nathria, that's where I was playing more and decided I want to just do something extra,
That's awesome. I actually stopped playing after Castle Nathria, but this isn't my story. This is yours. That's fantastic, man. Thank you very much for sharing that. Crims, we're going to shoot it over to you, my man. Who the heck are you? What's going on?
So,
what are you playing?
What am I playing? I'm playing everything, pretty much every class, because I just enjoy the challenge of learning a new spec and then trying to master it. My story goes back to Wrath of the Lich King when I had a friend that his brother had a friend as well. They were the same age, and that man gave my friend, like, you know, when you had to install the game manually through putting into the CD disk, like you had to put the game in CD disks. I remember when I was installing it on my laptop, when I because in Poland we have a like when you go to like third grade, when you're a Christian from a Catholic church, you get like how do I explain it correctly? You get like there's like a holiday where you go to the church and you like your family goes with you and then you participate in it and then they give you money, they give you presents. So that's how I got my laptop, right? They gave me money, so I bought a laptop. That's what I decided to do with my money.
That's fantastic.
So I bought a laptop and then, well, that friend had like 7 disks that we had to install on our computers. And then we installed the game, and then I log in. I still remember the first time I logged in. I created a Blood of Paladin because it was a Wrath of the Lich King on a private server, because I started with private servers because I wouldn't have I wouldn't have money to pay for a retail game, right? I would not have money. I was like 11 years old. Like like I just wouldn't have to, like I wouldn't like to pay a subscription anyway. So I started on a private server and I made my Blood. So I log into the game for the first time. And I didn't have any textures on the ground, okay? Like, my laptop was so bad that I didn't have any textures on the ground. Like, I was just leveling my paladin, just killing mobs in the Elven Forest. I think it was Elven Forest, right? It's called the Blood of Starting Zone. And then I was leveling my paladin there. And then I reached level 80, I remember. And then after that, I swapped to warrior. And then I started playing PvP. I was like 11 years old, and then I was playing PvP on my warrior, and I was doing actually pretty well. So that's when I understood. I'm pretty good at this game. I'm so young. Like, people that I was playing with, they were usually like 16, 17 years old. So I was like, yeah. I was just playing, grinding. I was pretty good at PvP. I was like 2400 even. Like, I was like 12 years old. I remember I was like 2400 in like 2v2. So I'm like, well, I'm pretty good at this game. I should continue playing this game. But then I quit. And then I was playing some other games. And then I came back in Battle for Azeroth Season 4. I remember this. So I started playing BFA Season 4, and then I stumbled upon Mythic Plus. I was doing my first key. I completely didn't understand what's going on. We had some timer to finish, and that's all I knew, that we have to beat the keystone before the timer, and that's pretty much how I started. And then, yeah, it continues now, 5 years later now.
Look at you
now.
Yeah,
continues 5 years later, I'm still playing, you know,
so far.
Just non-stop. Yeah.
He's so humble, he didn't say that he won MDI.
That's true.
Yeah, I did win MDI once against the original Echo team. That's my proudest accomplishment in WoW. But I was also playing some other MDIs, and I was like 2nd place, 3rd place.
Well, speaking of someone who won the MDI a long time ago, Jdotb, welcome to the show, my man. Who the heck are you? I mean, everyone knows who you are, but please introduce yourself. Let everyone know what's going on.
My name is Jdotb, aka JB. I am a long-time WoW player, a healer, primarily Resto Druid, I imagine is what people associate with me, but, you know, whatever the season requires to play for the meta, we'll probably play that. I've been playing WoW since vanilla, and I don't think anything has made me feel older in my entire life than Crims describing CDs like they're old-fashioned technology. Do you remember when you had to take the CD discs and you put them into the laptop? So I think I was playing. I think WoW came out around. I was probably Crim's age now when WoW came out originally.
I got you.
There it is.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, you have it. Oh my god.
It's a game card.
Yeah, it's something.
It's a physical something. Yeah.
The CDs are like this. I have them all.
Ooh. Oh, you have them all.
Oh my god.
Nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I used to know where mine were, but
I'm gonna get some.
Lost them.
Hold on. I'll find it.
You guys all have them. Jesus.
Listen. I've been holding on to this one. I've got something even better. You guys ready for this?
Collect.
Jdotb, you ready? You ready for this? I don't even know if you. Huh?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now we're.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, you're predating.
This is the granddaddy, baby. The granddad. That's what I'm talking about.
Was it like a game before WoW or?
Yeah, it's the original like 3D MMO.
Oh,
That's
okay.
we're not here to talk about it, Hugh. Even though I could for the entire.
I've heard the name, but
hour
I've
and a
never
half.
played. So.
Don't get me started. I won't stop. So anyway, thank you guys so much for taking the time to introduce yourselves, getting the ball rolling and whatnot. I didn't cut you off, did I? JW, did I?
I mean, it's we played healer for a while, and then Mythic Plus came out, and we started doing that. So that's basically the story.
It's a beautiful story. We appreciate your heals, man.
It's a beautiful story.
Are you happy that Resto Druid is so strong right now?
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. The only problem is that I've played beta a bit, and seeing what Resto Druid feels like now, where Resto Druid feels about as good as it's ever felt, and then seeing what
it's
I'm
becoming.
gonna be playing next expansion is. I kind of wish something else was good right now so that it felt less bad making that transition.
This is a little tangential. Does it kind of hurt your brain a little bit knowing that we have a druid who is a master shapeshifter, someone who can, jack of all trades, can do it all, but when you transform into a cat as Resto, you don't have an interrupt anymore? I mean, this is probably a bigger topic than I need to make it out to be, but it's just, it doesn't make sense. From a whatever you want to call it standpoint. Like you should have an interrupt as a cat. It's ridiculous.
No. I am totally fine not having an interrupt. I played without having an interrupt for like 6-7 years. It was glorious. That was a thing I never had to worry about. That was somebody else's job. Then they gave me a kick. Suddenly I had to start watching kick trackers. People started calling for my kick. I had to shift into cat form to kick things. That was the dark times. They're taking that away from me again. You will hear no complaints from me. I am more than happy to leave that to other people. They can deal with that.
All right, that's fair. It's a good take. Less you have to do. All right, we're supposed to have a big old icebreaker here, but I feel like that was a pretty good icebreaker. Krims had already talked a little bit about the moment he realized, I'm pretty good at this game. Casual, was there a moment for you that it just kind of, your eyes were open, like, I'm pretty good at this game compared to a lot of people? If you did, what was that experience?
I remember a moment. It might sound delusional, but it was something to get started with. So, as I said, I started playing Castle Nathria, but obviously, even though I believed I can get cutting edge, I can do the highest keys, I can do everything, even if I thought this in my mind, I had to prove it first, right? So, I got started with a Greek guild. I'm Greek, in case you don't know. So I got started with a Greek guild, and the progress that guild had was not that bad to get started with. It was like 6 out of 8 Mythic. But before I get into that group, I killed Heroic, obviously. So I went to Lady Nerva. Was that the Lantern boss? Lady Nerva, right? So I did an 100 log, and I felt so proud of that Heroic log of mine. I was like, oh my God, I'm gaming. I'm the first. I'm the best, I felt like it, at least. I was amateur. I didn't know. So that 100 log made me feel like a god, So I was like, I should try harder. And that kept rolling. That's all.
That's right. Anytime you can rank high, it makes you feel good. I understand. JB, what about you? What was the first time all those years ago you realized I'm pretty good at this game compared to a lot of people?
Well, you see, when I first started playing WoW, we didn't have fancy things like, Warcraft logs. There was no way to like compare yourself to anybody except the people in your own group. So it was a lot harder back then to get a sense of where you stacked up with like everybody. I remember the first time thinking that maybe I was good at World of Warcraft was back in Burning Crusade. I re-rolled a Paladin, and I had never played healer before, and we went into Karazhan, and my guild, because Karazhan was a smaller group, and then you had the bigger raids, so you had like kind of mini groups in the guild. And I remember I played with one of those groups as the healer for the first time, and my buddy was the GM, and I remember I was shopping at Walmart the next day, and I was chatting with him on the phone, and we were talking about Karazhan raid last night, and he was like, hey, the guy that was running your group said you were really good at healer last night. And I was like, bro, he said I was good at healer? And I was like, really? I didn't even think I was that good. Like, I didn't think I was doing anything special. He really said I was good? I was just walking around Walmart like, no, tell me more. What did he said he thought I was a good holy paladin? And that was all it took. It was like one random guy in my group saying that I was good at Holy Paladin, and I was like, "That's it. We're a healer main, baby."
Sometimes that's all you need, man. Just a little
That's
confidence,
it.
a little
That's it.
encouragement, a little compliment. Two quick things for Twitch chat. If you type in the command question followed by your question, I'll get it and I'll ask the question to these guys if we have time and if it makes sense to ask the question. Secondly, for you three gentlemen, at any point in time, if you want to chime in, add on to something, respond to something, you don't need my permission. You guys are in charge here. I'm just facilitating, so feel free to jump in, make this as conversational as you want. Oh, all right, that was a fun intro. Thank you guys for letting everything rock and roll there, feeling a little loosey-goosey now. So we're just going to go ahead and get on into it. And we're going to talk about, the first thing we're going to talk about today is kind of what separates people at the high end from the, well, not so high end, to be blunt. And Jdotb, we're going to start with you. I want to know, in your opinion, you've had a lot of experience in this world now of operating at high-level Mythic Plus. What do you think one of, if not the biggest separator is for these people? Is it talent, time, discipline, mindset? And why is it that one thing?
Well, first I'm going to start by disagreeing with the premise of the question.
Okay,
I don't
please.
think it's one thing. I think everything you mentioned right there, talent, time, discipline, mindset, I think those all play into people being good. And I think that the guys and gals at the top of the leaderboard each season will display each of those traits at varying levels. You're never going to be an insane WoW player without spending a lot of time. That's a given. There's nobody that's good at WoW that doesn't spend a lot of time playing WoW the same way it is in anything in life. Like if you're good at it, you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. So that's like a necessary thing. You got to play a lot. But there's plenty of people that play a lot and aren't great. So that's like bare minimum. You got to spend a lot of time doing it. Talent is definitely a thing. Like there's some people that just seem to get it and some people that don't seem to get it. But I've seen people that are people I wouldn't consider to be supremely talented still succeed at very high levels just because of discipline. That if you invest that time and you stay committed to something and you grind, that's, anytime you see teams at the top of the leaderboard each season, they've spent a lot of time, but they've also spent disciplined time. Like they play together as a group, they get the routes figured out, they hammer those routes, figure out how to improve them. But playing with the same group of people is usually very important. Develop that communication, develop those habits as a team. And then, as you said, mindset. It is a thing that to go from like good at Mythic Plus to the best at Mythic Plus, you do have to have that mentality of like, we want to do what it takes. And a lot of times that involves a lot of stuff outside of the game. I tend to think that the people that are best at Mythic Plus are those that immerse themselves in the entirety of it. So when you're not playing, you're watching streams of other people, you're looking at talents other people are running, you're checking logs from other groups, you're probably multi-classing, you're doing, you're testing out stuff on other characters, seeing what feels good, what doesn't, and just staying aware of everything and committing to making sure that you're not leaving anything on the table. And so it's all those things. It's the whole kit and caboodle that goes into being a really good player. And but I'd say in a nutshell, a lot of it's just like effort. Like you just, I want somebody on my team that just cares, like that is willing to spend a ton of time doing it and thinking about it all the time, eats, sleeps, and breathes it. And those players usually figure out a way to succeed one way or another.
Casual, number one, I guess I should back up. So that was an awesome answer. Thank you so much for taking the time to articulate that. Casual, I want to know from your perspective, where you're sitting from that comfortable chair, what is a hard truth about being great at a Mythic Plus? Or just the game in general that the average player doesn't think about, they don't see. It's just not a part of their day-to-day mindset.
So while you're playing, while, some things you might think they're correct, while they're not, so a lot of stuff, in order to understand them, it takes a lot of experience, Even when you think you're at some level, the next season, you might think, oh, what was I doing the previous, Now I'm better. And it keeps going. So you're always learning new stuff. So what people are missing, I guess, is like very basic stuff. For example, someone might look at an overall from a dungeon and think that's all that matters, right? But they are not thinking of the distribution of it, like what that guy targeted, what maybe, even the route or whatever. So there are not the numbers that matter, It's you have to understand what this guy was thinking when he was playing, when he was dealing damage, stuff like this. So I think that's the most important stuff the casual guy is not understanding, like those kind of things. Other than that, I don't know. You have to be like a SpongeBob, You have to be able to see someone and be able to steal what he's doing, and you're more than good if you're able to do that. But in order to reach to a level that the top players are, for example, you have to understand what's going on and just apply that. It's simple as that, I think.
So be a sponge.
Yeah, like to be able to watch things and suck them off,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
JW, I saw that, JW. I saw that.
Yeah, it might sound weird. I know.
You don't need, it's all good, man. We get it. We get it. We're just rolling with the punches. Don't worry about it. That's a great answer. I agree. I think that's true in life, both real life and in WoW. Like, if you want to be good at something, surround yourself with smart people who are better at you than something, people who have the same mindset, like Jdotb said, et cetera, and be that sponge. Like, you want to learn, you got to be willing and able to absorb the material to dial in, to figure out what's going on. Yeah. Krims, we've been talking about how people think and so on and so forth. And do you think that elite players think differently, or do you think they're just practicing differently, or is there something else there altogether?
I think they do think differently, because I feel like regular players, they don't really immerse themselves in the whole Mythic Plus, because I really think that Mythic Plus is like 70% about teamwork. Like, it's like 15% talent and 70%, 75% or 85% of teamwork. Like, actually, because the game is very scripted. I feel like after playing all those years, I feel like the game became so scripted that every season that you go in, you know that you need a shot caller in your team. Mm-hmm. That person is going to be responsible for making the dungeon just go clean. And as the dungeon goes clean, you can make harder routes. You can do more damage. It's all about teamwork. I feel like it really is about teamwork. And like going back to your question, I feel like JB answered it when he was talking about it at the end of his what he was saying, that you just, to be a great player in WoW, you need to immerse yourself in everything. You need to compare yourself to different people. You need to watch their VODs. You need to take advantage of you being able to watch their VODs so you can improve. It really is that way, I feel like, in Mythic Plus. That
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
Yes. So back to what you said about the casual player, I will just make it very simple in one sentence. So Mythic Plus is all about the timer. So we're chasing a timer. Nobody's chasing overall meters. Nobody's chasing anything else. It's only the timer that matters, because this is what people are looking at in the end of the dungeon. I'm not going to go and look how much damage this guy looked if I did the key faster than him. I don't care, But if the key, he did it faster, then I need to look at it, some other stuff. But timer is more important than anything else.
I feel like it really depends on the class that you're playing, because some classes, like, yes, you could do some more priority damage, you could press your globals a little bit differently in order to, like, make the timer faster, but overall damage also matters. Like, if you go into Priority of Sacred Frame and one person does 13 million and another person does 16 million while mobs have equal health, then I feel like the person that does 16 million, the keystone is going to be faster. It obviously depends on the whole group, how the whole group is doing, but I feel like overall damage really matters as well. When
I'm only talking about scenarios that the 13 million group will have a faster timer. In that case, you don't care, but you would obviously care if there would be a difference in timer as well. Then you have trouble. Then you're in trouble. Yeah.
We don't want trouble in our Mythic Plus runs, right? We want a trouble-free zone. Jdotb, how much do you think self-awareness matters in these moments, whether, during a key, after the key? What about ego, humility, confidence? Like, how does this all come into play?
I've seen a lot of different types of people succeed at Mythic Plus. I've seen some very egotistical people succeed at Mythic Plus. I've seen some very humble people succeed at Mythic Plus. I think like there's just different strokes for different folks kind of thing. And if you there's some people that are driven by their ego, that they have to be the best and they'll do whatever it takes to maintain that, like their Raider IO score like is their identity. And so they will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that their team is like number one, or whatever goal they're trying to chase. And so that becomes an important driver for them, is like it's like incredibly important for my sense of self that I'm good at Mythic Plus, and so I'll do whatever it takes. I've seen some people who have very little ego, or even are insecure, and that then becomes their driver, is that they want to be the best, but they are constantly afraid that they're not, and so they'll push themselves continuously to, they'll constantly be comparing themselves to other players and being like, man, I think that guy's figured out something I haven't, or like they'll be looking at his gear and it's different than theirs, and they'll think like, oh man, I thought I knew what I was doing, but like maybe this guy's got it figured out, like maybe I should steal his stuff. And so it can be that insecurity that drives you, of constantly needing to like reassure yourself that you're not making mistakes, that you're not playing poorly. And so it really depends. And like I said, I've seen people succeed wildly on both ends of that spectrum. I think it usually tends to be easier on your teammates if you're humbler. But there's some real cocky dudes out there that succeed every season, and if you get the results, people put up with it.
Speaking of cockiness, or dare I say confidence, depending upon how some people may look at it, casual at the highest level, do you think that confidence is a skill that you train? Does it come a bit naturally? What do you think?
I think for sure confidence is something that can be worked on, but I think in the end of the day, it kind of depends on the person himself, So if I might be playing a regular M+, and I get anxious, if the key is about to get deployed, I get anxious. So if I go into a tournament environment, then I'm just, game over for me. I will just get anxious and game over. But I think it's getting better and better the more you are practiced, the more you're succeeding. So those things are making you way more comfortable. So you're not getting that anxious anymore. So yeah, at start I was getting that a lot. I was getting very anxious, even on tournament and shit. But yeah, nowadays I feel like I'm doing good on it. I don't care that much, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I guess
I think this is something that can be worked on.
Yeah, the more comfortable become, the more confident become, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, like the more you work on something, you're good, you can do it, you got this. So why would I get anxious on something that I know I got this?
Crims, do you think that all this stuff that we're talking about kind of points to maybe instinct, where the brain kind of turns off to some degree, or something else takes over? Or do you think that it really is just, nope, I got to do it, I got to pay attention, I got to focus, I have to be dialed in 100% of the time?
As a tournament player, I just understand that we practice so much, let's say as a team, that it just so happens automatically. You go into a key, you know your job. Like my job as a DPS player is to just do DPS and then press correct stops, correct kicks, press my defensives whenever the time is there. And it's all like scripted, because you have practiced with the team before and you feel confident that, okay, this is what I need to do. I'm going in, I will do it. That's what I need to do. And the more you practice, the more comfortable you feel like. And also, like, my confidence kind of comes from knowing that there comes a time in practice where you just understand that, okay, I am probably doing better than the other person from other team, and I'm happy with that. This gives me confidence that I just feel like I'm happy with what I'm doing as a DPS player, as my role, and that's what gives me confidence. Just doing better than other people in the tournament, because after all, you want to get first place, right?
That's it, man. You gotta beat them to win. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. You just need to do better than the other person. I mean, nothing you can do. And if you do your role and 4 other players do their role in the team, it just so happens that you might win. Unless they have some better strategies. Yeah.
JB, do you notice when you start operating out of instinct mid-key, or even from the start, or are you always kind of hyper aware of what's going on moment to moment?
I mean, it's definitely a thing. You know, you're talking about playing with the same team, developing habits and stuff. That's one of the benefits of that, is that as you start to do the same route with the same people over and over again, everybody just settles into their routine, and you stop thinking about stuff because like, this is the pull where I press this cooldown. You know, I press my CC on this at this point in the rotation. This is the mob that I kick. It's this marker. You don't think about those things anymore. You just do them because it's what you've done every time, and that's what you're trying to do through that repetition, through that practice, is get to the point where you're not thinking about anything. You're just doing the stuff that you've practiced over and over. There's the old saying that you don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. And that's, when we go into like MDI practice, TGP practice, things like that, that's the point you're trying to get to as a team, that you go in, you do a dungeon, and you can just rattle off like 3 or 4 runs in a row where you don't wipe, and that you're just doing it correctly each time. It's not enough to do it right once. You can't go in and like time the key and be like, we're done, we did it. It's, that's it. You got to go until you're sure that on game day there's not going to be any mistakes. A lot of times I found during tournaments that the most difficult key for me each day was the first one, because I hadn't gotten into that zone yet. And I remember there were a few dungeons where we'd go running into like the first pull, and my brain would be like, I don't even remember what button my heal is on right now. Like my brain was still on like manual mode, and I'd be thinking like, oh my God, I don't even remember what keys I pressed to like heal stuff. And I'd start like having like a little panic right before, and then as soon as the pull starts, then you get into it and like autopilot takes over and you're good. But that's what you're trying to avoid, ever thinking about stuff in the middle of a key, because you've just done it so much that it's all, second nature at that point.
Yeah, I have to agree with you in Twitch chat there. Yeah, sometimes it takes a key or two for me to wake up and realize what's going on. I constantly forget right at the start, like, crap, where's my group heal? Where's my single target heal? Where's my whatever? So I feel that. Well, I want to shift gears here, and I want to talk about the process behind the mindset a bit in casual. I'm going to toss the first question of this topic over to you. I imagine very few, if any, people actually stumble into being at the top 1% of the Mythic Plus range. I want to talk about the work and what does the grind actually look like on a day-to-day basis for you when you're working your way up and to a high level and a high Mythic Plus score.
So it kind of depends on what level you're actually doing it, because there is the more casual, the 0.1, and the competitive level. So talking about competitive level, it means like you have in your team people that are super committed to it, which means they might be making a living out of playing World of Warcraft. So you guys have a lot of time to invest into it. They don't have regular jobs. So with that being considered, you have plenty of time with your team to practice and do stuff. So in that kind of level, which, for example, the team I was playing with, we were all making a living out of this. So we were playing full time on a regular basis, like when it's like season, when we're playing the season, we're playing like 6 to 8 hours a day, of course, with some days break, or if someone has to do something, there are obviously breaks. And when it comes to tournament, then obviously you are investing more hours, depends on how much people want. Like the last actual tournament that I have played, we were playing 10 hours almost a day for like almost 2 months. But we said we are committed to it. We will try our best. Okay, result was not the best. We got 5th place, but we tried our best, I guess. This is what we could do, right? So yeah, I mean, we're investing a lot of time. Like, yeah, obviously.
Crims, I want to shoot the next one over to you. And we've already touched on this a little bit throughout the episode so far, but what does deliberate practice mean to you personally? Is it VOD review, micro adjustments, mid-key, post-key? Is it pattern recognition whenever you're realizing, hey, this, like I think it was JB who said it a minute ago, the same thing happens with this pull versus this pull versus this pull from key to key. What does that practice mean to you?
It's everything. Everything that you said is deliberate practice. I feel like you just go into a keystone and then you run the keystone for the first time. You notice, okay, this pull was bad. We need to change this. We need to fix this. And then the next keystone, you just try to fix it. And then from an individual perspective, you just realize, okay, I did no damage on this pull. Why did I do no damage? Can I do more damage on this pull? If I can do more damage on this pull, I will try to get there. And then after that, it's just VOD reviewing. You look at other people. Maybe you have some example of other person doing it better, and then you just try to adapt to that person, and you try to take what he has to offer and what should work better for us, because they are doing it correctly while we're not doing it correctly. It's just all of those things that matter. I feel like it's like you just go into a keystone and you immediately understand that something went wrong, and we need to improve upon it, and we need to talk about it, and then that's what deliberate practice means to me.
Tacking on to that answer, Jdotb, what's your ratio of playing keys versus preparing for them versus post key discussion? What's the balance that you wind up striking there on average?
I mean, I feel like it's different from dungeon to dungeon. Sometimes you're doing a dungeon and it's obvious that like you just need reps. There's some pull that you need to do. It's complicated. There's a bunch of kicks and stops you need to get, and you keep screwing it up, but you know that it's not necessarily that you need to do it differently necessarily. You just need to get in there and keep trying it a few times. Then there's other times that it's clear that okay, this is we've tried this pull 15 times. It's not working. We got to change something. Like it's not happening. And so it kind of depends. I think kind of adding on to what Crims was saying about figuring out how to be more mindful in practice. I feel like there's two ways that you improve a particular dungeon that you're doing. One is figuring out what's going wrong in a dungeon. If you have your route figured out, like you've chosen what you're going to pull and what order you're going to pull it, then once you have that route, you can look at individual pulls or cooldown timings or whatever and try to figure out how to do those things better to improve the route that you're doing. And that, I think, takes a particular kind of skill set from a player to be able to figure out, like, why isn't this pull working for us, or how could we do this pull faster? But there's another kind of player that you need on your team, and I think is a rarer kind of player, and the one that I think really separates the best teams from each other is you need a player that can look at a route that you are already happy with and figure out how to make that route better. And that's, I think, the hardest skill in Mythic Plus is to know when your route is basically as good as it can be versus when your route's already good, but how you could make it better. And it's really easy to fall into a trap of, like, you start doing a route a certain way and you just get comfortable with it, and you stop thinking of ways that it could be improved. You just think that that's like as good as it could be, and you'll develop this false sense of confidence in that route, thinking like, oh, this is just the best way to do it, and then you stop thinking of ways to improve, and then you'll see another team smoke you in that dungeon, and you'll go, oh my god, dude, how did they do that? And then you'll see they started doing some pulls differently, and once you see it, you'll go, oh my god, how did I not think of that? Like, how did it not occur that we should pull that other pack first so we get our cooldowns back, so then we can go into this other pull, and then the other pull goes way fast, and then once you see somebody do it, it's immediately obvious why it's better. But you have to have people that can, like, you need people with good imaginations, people that can be creative with those routes. And I think those are the people that every team needs. One or two of those guys that'll just stay up at night thinking of, like, okay, look, I know we timed the key really fast and it went really well, but, like, I'm thinking, what if we combine pull 2 and 3 together, right? And we just send all of our cooldowns? I bet it works.
You just got to try. You just got to roll the dice.
Yeah, you got to try it.
Yeah. I mean, of course, all of that just leads me to ask the question, how do you is that a skill you think someone can develop, or, like you said, do you think that's just going to be someone who's naturally creative and just has to fall into that role and fall into that category?
I think it's just a thing some people have, some people don't. And most often I think it tends to be tank players, and I think that may just be a thing that attracts people to the tanking role. I don't know that it's that tank players are better at it. I think it's that the people who are good at it tend to play tank, because a lot of times as a tank, you're, especially as a pug tank, or if you're playing with different people, you're often it's assumed that it's your job to come up with the route. And so I think a lot of times those are that role attracts those kinds of people that are just constantly thinking about, what should I be pulling? When should we be pulling it? And trying to figure out ways to improve that route. But I don't know that I've ever seen somebody in Mythic Plus where I just one day it was like, oh wow, this dude just suddenly started coming up with good ideas. It tends to be that when I first meet somebody, it's a very early on thing that I just realize, like, oh, this guy's got a mind for it. Or just like, nah, I mean, and you don't need everybody, and you know, too many chefs for one kitchen. You don't need everybody to be coming up with new stuff, but I feel like you need at least one or two guys in a key to do that.
All right, listen, I can
Usually
tank.
it's overcooking.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Say that again, please.
Usually it's getting to a level of overcooking, which you burn it out.
Yeah.
I can tell for sure. So the only maybe that's unfair, but the team that I'm always seeing routes and I say, oh my god, this works so well, is Holy Method, because they're not only making routes, they're making routes around their DPSs and their cooldowns, which is one of the most important things. So if you see them and see the routes, everything works so well the way they pull them. But other than that, I haven't seen teams like they do it that well, in my opinion.
That was a common thing from my time in tournaments. Was we would see, I mean, they've gone through a few different names, but at the time Method EU, they would post these insane times in time trials, and we'd sit around thinking, like, how the hell did they do that? Well, they must have done insane pulls in this dungeon. They must have, like, you'd open up MDT and you'd be like, dude, they must have pulled everything together. Like, I don't even understand. And then you'd see them in the tournament do the route, and you're like, that was the simplest route I've ever seen in my life. Like that was the most straightforward route that I've ever seen in my life. They just went really fast. Like they were just incredibly efficient. They popped their cooldowns at the right time. They moved from pack to pack really well. They didn't waste any movement. You never see them backtrack in a dungeon. Like it's always forward. And every time I'd see him in a tournament and I'd go, that's the route that beat us? That route?
And I want to explain why what I'm saying is impressive, because you might have a route that you do what I said in a 21 key level, but if you go on 22 key level, then it changes. And if you go into 23, it changes again. So that's where it gets hard to go a key higher, because your cooldowns might be perfectly lined up for 21, but what about the 23? Have you prepared something for that?
That's a really good point. Yeah, because I mean, obviously mobs have more HP. Things live a little bit longer. Timings get shifted.
Exactly.
Did I cut you off, Crims?
I feel like in the past it was the difference between them, which is Holy Method or previously Echo. It was just that Gingy was the only person in High Mythic Plus that was really committed to calling kicks and stops. So they could always do the harder routes. Because Gingy would make it feel like it's seamless. The pulse was seamless because they were doing routes in MDI where there were 6 casters at a time, and you need to manage this somehow, right? Like other teams did not have this luxury. So it really was. He really was making the difference, I think, when it came to like hard routes.
Kind of goes back to what I think was JB who said about shot callers, right? And a good shot caller can make a big difference mid-key, team to team, etc.
Yeah, shout out JG. He's like the OG shot caller.
Yep, that's true. The game like changed in like Dragonflight Season 2, I think it like completely shifted where every team was forced to call stops and kicks. Every team needed a shot caller, even though people did not have. And then this is where, there was Gingy that was shot calling, and there was everyone learning from him how to shot call. Mm-hmm. And everyone was watching Uldaman, the infamous dungeon, for like being so ridiculously hard with, I don't know, tank dying to kicks, team dying to kicks and stops. It was like, it was just needed since Dragonflight Season 2 that you just needed a shot caller. And that's when every team in MDI started to have a shot caller in their team. Otherwise, the game was just not feasible. It would just not be playable, I think.
Casual, I don't know if
That's
you've
basic.
ever. No, that's really good. I like that. Casual, I don't know if you've ever plateaued in the process of like gaming and whether it be Hearthstone, WoW, or whatever. But for the people that do, what advice would you give them if they hit a wall? Do you just push through it? Do you kind of change your mindset? What do you do if and when you plateau?
So, are you talking about the day you hit the plateau or in general?
Yeah, it's
Like
kind of in
if we
general. I
hit
mean,
that.
you can answer this question however you want, but I'm thinking more in general. Like, oh
Okay.
crap, I'm not making any progress. What the heck do I do at this point?
Yeah. So in general, how it looks for me at least is I don't know. I haven't talked about it here, but in the past I was playing Hearthstone competitive. I was participating in a lot of tournaments. I won some of them, and what I felt like after finishing a tournament, just because I have put so much effort into practicing, so much effort into the tournament itself, after the tournament, I felt like, oh my god, I need to not see the PC for 10 days. My brain is melting. Get out of me. So I was taking 5-10 days break. So just by doing that from Hearthstone days, now moving that to World of Warcraft, I mean, I'm not doing 5 to 10 days breaks because I feel like World of Warcraft is something that you have to be on it on a daily basis in order to have your reflexes there, everything to be on point. But I'm trying to fit some hours in my day that I'm outside of it. So technically, I'm trying to have some schedule on it, let's say it. So I have those 8 hours that I will either stream or play the game. The rest of the day, I'm doing something else, Either I go for a walk, I go to the gym, I do everything else. So I would say you just need a schedule. And when it comes to when you hit a plateau while you're playing with your team, you're stuck into a dungeon or something, you have to either sit down and figure it out what's going wrong, or even take a break again, like leave it for 1 hour, come back again. But yeah, usually going pushing is not getting you anywhere. I remember myself being in Flatgate for 5 days straight. Pushing it is not getting there. You need to figure it out.
Not a fan of Floodgate, but that's just me. Crims, where do you think the biggest improvement usually comes from in relation to leveling up your score, operating with your team? Is it mechanical skill? Is it decision making? Is it mental composure? Where do you think that comes in?
It's a hard question because, well, it mostly comes from just executing a dungeon better, just doing the route faster, just doing more damage. Some people, they are learning classes like pretty slowly, and then all of a sudden they just discover something that will, I don't know, increase their DPS by like 10%. And then you are like progressing, you are getting more score because you can dungeon faster, or you can go a key level higher because you have more damage, or your healer is figuring a way to, I don't know, heal 22 priority or something. The big paladin pull that you would need to do, and yeah, just a gradual improvement where some people just go to sleep and then the next day they have something to offer that is gonna make us time a key or do it faster. It's just
yeah. I think that everything we've talked about obviously kind of feeds into this question, and it's practicing, it's communicating, it's reviewing,
it's just everything.
It all comes into play. Jdotb, I don't know if this question is hard or if it's a softball question to you. I'm really interested to hear your response, but what do you think the difference is between playing well and playing correctly at your level?
Well, I think you can kind of dovetail this from what Casual was talking about earlier, where at the end of the day, what matters is the timer on the dungeon. And there are times where you will have to make a sacrifice to your personal DPS or your your team needs you to send a cooldown when you don't really want to send it. It's not best for your overall, or you get stuck doing. I mean, a lot of times they're called healer jobs because the healer gets stuck doing them. But somebody has to do a thing in the key, and like it's not fun, but it needs to be done. And so a lot of times the playing correctly thing comes from knowing when you need to sacrifice your own personal like output in a key in order to do the thing that nobody else wants to do. And you could be a good player in terms of performing your role well, but that's not always going to be the thing that needs to be done to go the fastest. Like 3 DPS that are all playing for doing as much damage as possible for themselves aren't necessarily going to go faster than a team that have 3 DPS that are trying to finish the pull as quickly as possible. And so sometimes that it could take the form of like prio DPS. Sometimes somebody will have to, it's like we need the DK to just be funneling obliterates. Like, it's like I need you to just be taking down this one guy. I know it's going to be less damage, but this pull finishes when we bring the big guy down. And if you kill all the little guys, that's great. But like the pull doesn't go any faster. And so having people that recognize that and are willing to make those decisions, sometimes after discussion with the team, but a lot of times you just need the person to recognize that, either like mid pull or as you're making the route, that like it's needs to be you that does that. And the faster that a team comes to those like decisions or conclusions about who, this person needs to be blasting AoE, this person needs to be doing prio, the faster you come to those decisions as a team, the further you'll go. And so you just need people that recognize the correct play and are willing to make it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, this is a great segue. Way to go, Jdotb. Nice layup here. But speaking of sacrifice, I want to talk about what it costs to kind of play and live at this level that you guys operate at. I mean, you guys have talked about scheduling. You guys have talked about playing the game a lot day to day. And I'm going to start with you again, Jdotb. What have you had to sacrifice leading up to the start of Midnight here over all of these years? Other than time, obviously, have you had to say, no, don't have time to take you out to dinner tonight, sweetheart? Have you lost a lot of sleep? Have you sacrificed some hobbies? Where has that sacrifice come from for you?
I have sacrificed WoW. In the past few years is how that's gone. When I first started doing Mythic Plus, I was a bachelor, and I had all the time in the world to spend playing World of Warcraft at my leisure. And I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and I would wake up and do keys and eat breakfast and go back to doing keys and then shower and go back to doing keys and then eat dinner and do keys and then go to bed. And we would do that every day. And then when MDI was created, then I think we were one of the first teams that really pushed the scheduling, trying to get into, like I heard Casual earlier saying that he was doing 10-hour days for a few months. And frankly, with MDI these days, I'm not sure that 10 hours isn't on the lighter side of practice schedules for some of these teams. And, I think we were one of the teams early on that was at the forefront of that, of just getting up, starting practice at like 10, 11 in the morning. Yeah. And it was, you get like a 45-minute dinner break. Some people took it, some people didn't. And so, yeah, there was a lot of time spent playing WoW. I have since gotten married, moved, and developed a life and a family. And it's definitely taken a toll in terms of the level of achievement in WoW. It's really hard to compete in a tournament where you have to tell your wife, like, hey, sorry, I just need to disappear for 2 months. I can't attend any social events at all. I can't, if the kids have like a band performance at the football game Friday night, sorry, I can't be there. I'm sure they'll understand that it was really important that we figured out priority 22. And so I've taken a step back in that sense. And it's one thing you'll notice, but you basically look at the MDI landscape right now. These are all single people. Like there's like nobody really in committed relationships. Nobody, especially with like kids. These are all people whose time is their own and who have no demands or schedules that really pull them away from WoW, because you can't have those things and play as much as you need to play to be successful. So you do, if you want to play at the highest level, especially in tournament play, but even for pushing the ladder. I mean, the teams at the top of the ladder aren't much different from the requirements of tournament play. You do sacrifice having a life for the most part. Like you You are a World of Warcraft player first and foremost, and everything else has to come second to that. Because you'll just get replaced in WoW. Like it's ruthless in that sense, very cutthroat. Where if you can't be online, as they say, the best ability is availability, and you could be an insanely good player, but if you're not online when the rest of the team wants to play, they'll find another guy that will be online when they want to start playing, and they'll happily replace you and keep on going. So you got to be around all the time and willing to play, and just make that your number one thing in life.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. You got to break up boyfriends, girlfriends, get rid of them. Kids, don't want them.
Yep.
Got to dial in. Crims, did anyone in your life over these last 5 years or so that you've been playing at this level, has anyone ever said, what are you doing? Why are you playing this game? It's just a video game. How did you respond? And how has your response changed pre-MDI win versus post-MDI win?
I feel like it was kind of set in stone that I will end up playing video games at some point in my life, and it would be a lot of playing, because when I was not even an adult yet, I was just a teenager, I was just playing video games all the time. So I think my family, at least, they have adapted to me eventually. That my mom was always saying, why are you playing computer for 8 hours a day? Why are you playing those games? And at some point she just stopped caring, I think, and just she understood that, well, I guess this is what he wants to do, so I just need to let him do it. And it just so happened that people just become successful at some point. If you are doing some things for 10 hours a day for multiple years, it just so happens that you're going to be good at it, right?
It's true. Well, most of the time. Some people may not be good. That's okay. Some people just like, decorating and collecting. That's okay.
Yeah, but usually those people, they need to sustain themselves, right? Like they will choose other path in life. They will be forced to choose other path in life. If they cannot sustain themselves by doing this, then they, at some point, enough is enough. They will just need to find something else as well if things are not working out. I don't think there's a single person in the world where he just wants to play games for 10 hours a day and he doesn't get bored of it if he doesn't find success in it. I don't know, maybe I'm different to that. Maybe it's just my way of thinking about this, but yeah, I feel like it's just natural that you would just switch your scenery to something else.
Yeah, I'm sure there's someone out there that just plays and they don't care about anything, success, glory, evolution, or whatever it may be. There's got to be someone out there, but I do agree. I'm sure most people, there has to be a purpose. There has to be something beyond just, well, I'm just going to play a game and not think beyond that point. Casual, have you ever reached the point of burnout? Like you're sick of it, I'm done, I'm walking away. What was the cause of that, and how did you get yourself out of that hole?
So I never got to a burnout point yet, at least.
Yet.
Yeah, so it started as a hobby, I was enjoying playing video games very much. Then at some point I realized I may be doing something good on it, on different games obviously. And then it started with competitive gaming, which was Hearthstone at first. I mean, I started League of Legends competitive first, and then jumped to Hearthstone. And since this thing was bringing me money, except from joy, then it was even better, right? So if you do something you like and you can make money out of it, so you can make a living, and even more than that, then why not do it, right? So so I haven't reached to a burnout point yet. I don't know if I will. Probably I will, because we get older, we want different stuff, and maybe our skills will not be on the same level, right? It's not the same if you're young or when you get older, but no, I cannot say I've reached to that point yet.
Are you throwing shade at Jdotb? Is that what I hear? Am I reading between the lines here?
Look, the thing is, I haven't gotten worse with age because I started when I was old.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I understand. JB
started, so I'm old now. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, we all are. Don't worry. JB, has operating at your level, being elite, quote unquote, has it changed how you view the game, the community, or even yourself at this point in time?
I know it has because people tell me that it has. So it's one of those things where it's tough to see your own blind spots, right? And I a lot of times, don't fully appreciate the ways, the opinions that I have in WoW that are like different from a more casual player. It's hard to envision when you play Mythic Plus all day, you raid in Mythic guilds. It is very difficult to even imagine how somebody spends their time in World of Warcraft not doing those things. Very easy to lose sight of that. I'm aware of that, but even being aware of it, it's hard to sometimes constantly be vigilant about those biases that I have. So, I very often will run my mouth on Twitter and feel confident that whatever opinion I have is one that's shared by most players, and very quickly disabused of that notion. And people will let me know that is, in fact, a very minority opinion shared by a small segment of the player base, and then get called elitist. So it is... It has changed it, but it'd be tough for me to even tell you how it's changed it, because the ways that it's changed it just feel normal to me now. And every once in a while, I'm reminded that they aren't apparently views shared by everybody. So,
well, I just want you to know that Scarrin, we're actually going to take a question from her in a moment here. She says that JB Twitter takes are BIS. I agree.
I'm not sure everyone would agree with that.
No, I think everyone agrees. That's why all the comments in your Twitter threads are I agree.
I agree. Never
That's
misses.
all you need. Speaking of Scarrin, we're gonna shift gears here a little bit. We're gonna ask a couple of viewer questions. So these are fastballs, all right? You guys have not had time to prep for these, so get ready. I'm gonna toss this out there, and anyone who wants to chime in, feel free to do so. So Scarrin asks, this is a great question, by the way. If you had to restart your Mythic Plus journey, and you could give your newbie self one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself? Who wants to take that one?
I could take it.
Do it.
So the advice would be, put any ego you have in a vault, lock it in there, and just watch what the better ones are doing. Because if you have some ego, at least, you always think you're doing something better. You always think you're doing everything correct. So you have to be able to always say, there might be something more. There might be something more. And I will go back to something that Krim said, that if you're doing something better than the other player, then you're doing good. I will say, if I'm doing better than myself yesterday, I'm happy. I think that's what I think, at least, because this is how you improve, right?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for answering that. Again, I know I like to give people a chance to read the questions, so I always appreciate you guys answering questions on the fly. Krims, did you want to chime in too?
Yes, I feel like the most successful people in Mythic Plus are the open-minded ones. So if you think from the get-go that you're better than others and you don't want to learn, you're already lost. You're at a lost position. You need to learn from other people, first and foremost. So you need to read what your class does, then you need to read opinions on the class, then you need to see what people are talking about when it comes to playing a class, then overall scheme of things, and then you need to watch VODs from other people. You need to really try to improve. If you want to be good at some point, you need to do those things, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
We have another not Twitter question, listen to me. Another viewer question from Bluebix, and he wants to know, how do you guys feel with having no WeakAuras and fewer buttons going into Season 1 Midnight? Does it change the situation? I dare say yes, but how do you think it's going to change? Jay, I see the smile, JB. What do you got, man?
This is one where I think this heavily depends upon, first off, your role in World of Warcraft. I feel like I see a lot of differences of opinion on social media, and you can very quickly start getting a sense of which side of the issue somebody's going to be on by asking them whether they play healer or whether they play DPS or tank. Because I think a lot of the add-on changes disproportionately affect healers with the changes to unit frames. And I think a lot of DPS. I mean, there's definitely some people out there that have a lot of WeakAuras that play DPS that are going to miss them, but I feel like you don't lose as much of the essence of your spec from playing DPS by what they're taking away or restricting. But certainly, it's going to change it. It will. And it's tough to even answer the question at this point because what we have on beta right now is, by Blizzard's own admission, not what we're going to have when the expansion launches. Like, they'll continuously make changes. If it went live like it is now, I think it would be a catastrophic season for anyone that cares about what their UI, what information their UI can give them. Hopefully they improve it, but I don't think it will be pretty on launch. But there's a lot of people that won't care. There's probably most people that play WoW will not either care or even notice. There will be some segment of the player base that doesn't even notice that they've made an add-on change. I'm not trying to. This is the part where I say I know I recognize I'm in my own bubble in a way in WoW where add-ons are very important to me, and for a lot of people they aren't at all. And those people are not playing the game incorrectly. Their opinion is not less valid. And Blizzard is presumably aiming this change squarely at them. I'm sure there are a lot more of them than me. And so maybe on the whole, it is a good change for WoW. I don't know. I can only say that it feels really bad for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Much like your Twitter thread, I agree. We'll just leave it at that. Crims, did you want to say something?
I just thought that, like, every time Blizzard did something controversial, it always turned out good. But now I'm really scared because I don't really want to log on beta right now. Like, I just feel like it's boring to play like this. It's just boring. Especially
I'm on
like
the other side.
you're on the other side. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I guess subjective. But I really don't feel like playing beta right now. I don't know. I usually like want to play beta because I want to like learn new classes, learn new talent trees and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like you cannot really track many things right now. But maybe I just didn't set up my UI correctly. But yeah, maybe that's
Yeah,
just
I
me.
can put my opinion on that since
Please.
I have been playing Midnight from Alpha, and now when beta launched, I'm playing it on daily basis for some hours at least. So from my perspective, at least, maybe I'm positive, but I'm one of those guys that are trusting the process. So day by day, I see what's happening, I see what's developed. So there are still add-ons that are helping the situation. So I've came to a good point with my UI. I'm pretty happy with it. I still feel like some things are missing, but I see already feedback being given. Also, Blizzard responding that they will fix some stuff. For example, a good example is nameplates. You know, nameplates were very simplified. They didn't give you much data. So some people gave feedback to it, and then Blizzard said, okay, there will be improvements already. So I'm just kinda trusting the process. Still, of course, there are things that are missing, but I feel like we're getting there because I don't feel like, me personally as a player, I don't feel like I'm missing too many things. But I'm a DPS, okay? If we talk about a healer, I think this is hell right now because I understand what they need to be tracking and they are not able to, so it must be hell for them. I'm talking as a DPS player, obviously.
Yeah,
Usually healers are calling for the team their cooldowns. Like, at least at the high end of Mythic Plus right now, there is a healer that just says, okay, you need to press wall here, you need to press wall here, and you need to press wall here. But now healers don't even have a way to track the cooldowns of the team. So in our coordinated group, definitely quality of life and maybe success even went down by like 30% at least by not being able to have this. You will just need to communicate on Discord with your team, I guess, when...
Something extra about that question. The buttons might become less, and of course this is happening because most of the WoW player base is like casuals, so they have to please them first. which is Jdotb said as well. But on the other hand, there might be some other aspects that become harder. For example, if we're not able to track some stuff or see some casts on stuff, so we have to focus more on these things. So some aspects might become even harder, even though the rotation will be easier, right? You don't know how it will end up. But yeah.
That's kind of the thing. Like I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. We don't know how things are going to wind up yet. Jdotb said a moment ago, things are not finished, and we'll see how far they can come leading up to February 27th / March 2nd. We'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, Thanksgiving just happened here in America. Christmas is a few weeks away. New Year's is a week after that. We'll see how close. We'll see how down to the wire things become. Thank you guys for chiming in there with your opinions on that. I really do appreciate it. I want to fast track to the next section about decision making at this super high end level. And JB, we're going to start with you. The margin for error becomes super razor thin in that 4K range right now, in the context of right now, this season. What actually changes in your thinking at that level? Are you trying to notice things on a certain level or at a certain point? Or much like we said earlier in the show, is it all just, well, this is the same poll as it was last night versus the night before, and we'll just roll the punches?
I hope I'm not making decisions in the keys that we're, when you're at the level of key where you're progressing, like once you've done that key a few times, like you better not be making any, unique decisions in the middle of that run. Occasionally there will be some fights where you have to react or kind of make a play because of RNG, the RNG nature of it. For instance, in Floodgate on the duo boss, sometimes you can just get bad overlaps with like a dispel with the boss shooting you at the same time, and that doesn't happen every time, so you couldn't necessarily prepare for it. You just have to kind of react and go with your instinct there. But for the most part, when I walk into a key, I want to know exactly what we're pressing every pull in advance. Like I should be able to close my eyes and just envision the dungeon start to finish and know exactly what it's going to look like. Every pull, like where it's standing, what CCs are getting used, who's kicking what, who's pressing which cooldowns on which pull. You should be able to picture all that and only have a few spots in the key where you're like, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen on this because, depending on a little RNG, maybe it goes one way or the other. But for the most part, it was a thing I said in MDI where, to me, the hallmark of a great route is that I could take a route and like give you the MDT for it, and with some notes, a team that I would consider worse than my team should be able to do that same route. I should be able to tell you if you press your cooldowns here and your CCs here, and you kick this guy, you kick this guy, you kick this guy, that somebody else should be able to take our route and do it too. It should be that straightforward and that like micromanaged, that solved. And so ideally, when we're doing the hardest keys, I don't want to be making decisions in the key. They should all have been made beforehand, and we're just executing them throughout the run.
Crims, at that high end level, do you find that you're more reactive, or is it more predictive in like your plus 22s, plus 23s right now?
I feel like it's mostly scripted. It's very predictive. You go into a key and you already know what can kill you, and you know how your team manages that. And it's very little RNG actually when it comes to M+. There are some RNG aspects, like let's say, okay, best example are the surveyors in Floodgate, where you can get targeted by two at the same time, and then you also get the nail gun from Architect, and then you need to react very fast with your defensive. That's like a RNG part of a+. And then obviously your damage sometimes is lower on a pool because all three classes right now that are in the meta are RNG. Like Death Knights have things that increase their damage by 20%, then Elemental Shaman needs to proc their Ascendance, then Hunter needs to proc their Black Arrows during cooldowns. Those are the RNG parts, but most of the times it's just predictable. When you enter the dungeon, you already know what's going to happen and what can go wrong and what can go well, I feel like. So yeah.
Casual, when you're mid-key, do you find that you're thinking, like, in terms of, okay, GCDs, patterns, cooldown timings, or are you kind of just vibing? And because you've practiced so much, like we've talked about.
I look 90% on group stops and 10% on my buttons because I'm shot calling. So
oh, you're a shot caller? You didn't tell us that earlier.
I don't have the time to think of my GCDs, to be honest. But yeah, the best practice to it is dummies. People might not using that tool, but dummies is the best tool a DPS can have, because if you do your rotation so many times, it gets so much natural that you don't need to be thinking of it anymore. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you get procs, you have to react to them. So all those things, I think they come with a good UI. For example, I have made decisions in my UI to prevent me from watching what I need to press. For example, a random example, now that I'm playing Hunter, the black arrow, instead of having to see it on my WeakAuras that it procced and it got resetted, I have 2 lines next to my character. So if I see the line, I know I have a black arrow. So I don't have to look at my WeakAuras. I made a quality of life change in order to something to show me. Someone could add the sound, for example, but I don't feel like I have the time to be looking at buttons and the stops at the same time, on the rough pulls at least, because you don't have to shot call on every pull, right?
Casual, I got some bad news for you in relation to those 2 lines. They may not be there in a few months, buddy. You may be looking at some buttons in a few months.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll do more damage then. Good.
JB, how much of your specific high-end play is mental mapping at this point? Is it, whether it be spatial awareness or cooldown synchronization with your team, forecasting incoming damage as the healer? Where do you operate at?
I feel like that's somewhat iterative. As you play through a key, the first few times you do a key as a group, it is probably more about mechanical stuff in terms of when should, figuring out where to press things, what your rotation should look like on certain pulls, what you should be hitting, and some more of the basic things. And then as your route begins to take shape and you get more comfortable with it, then you start thinking at a higher level. And then it, once you've figured out sort of what you're pulling and how you're going to pull it, then you start thinking of the stuff like, okay, we know we want to pull this pack. Is there a better place to tank it than here? Could we group these mobs faster? Could we is there a way we could waste less time running between pulls? Could somebody be starting RP while we're doing this? And so then you start thinking about sort of how to get that route done, rather than the moment to moment gameplay. You start thinking about how you can kind of synthesize the route in its entirety. And then that's where, stuff like spatial awareness and cooldown synchronization, trying to figure out how to be the most efficient you can be, minimize the wasted movement, how to maybe reorient some of the pulls so that you get, if you're getting ready to go into a pull and nobody's got cooldowns up, then you're like, all right, well, we need to change the route because we're not trying to do this pull and nobody's got any buttons to press. Or you're getting, you're starting to finish a pull and people are like, I've been sitting on my cooldowns for a minute. Like, we got to change this because I'm not, I'm just wasting my buttons here. So that's when you start then potentially looking towards how can we, now that we've got the sort of bones of this route, how do we optimize it? And so as that route evolves, then I think it does become more of a, we know how like the sort of thing that we want to do. Now, how do we go about doing that thing?
I want to talk about the MDI just a little bit, Crims, if you don't mind. Specifically with the MDI, when you're playing through these dungeons and you're watching the timer and so on and so forth, are you playing the dungeon? Are you fighting against the timer? Are you fighting against your own mental state? Where do you wind up in those moments?
Preferably you want to fight against the timer, not against your mental state, right? So
Preferably, yes.
I guess you just think about the dungeon, right, while playing. I mean, I hope so at least. Not like you go into a key and then you think about your mental being bad. Yeah, I mean, if that's the answer you wanted, then yeah, I think that's it.
The answer is whatever you give me, baby. It's all good. Have you ever, like, especially during the MDI, was there a moment or have there been moments to where, you know, mistake has been made or, you know, maybe we overpulled or maybe we whatever? How do you not fall into the trap of, well, we're done, we're cooked, we made a mistake, it's all over now? Or did you guys
depends
play
how many
perfectly?
times the mistake happens. Because if the same mistake happens repeatedly, like 3 or 4 times where someone does something wrong, things get annoying, right? Like you don't want to get into that situation. So it just depends how good the team is, I think, because you know, you might get frustrated. I mean, it obviously depends on a person, but sometimes if mistakes happen multiple times because of one person, then you just get frustrated and you put the blame on that person and just
you kick him, Crims.
You just no. You just hope that he just understands that this needs to change. And well, if it doesn't change, then you are stuck. You are just stuck. You cannot improve. Well, it's a team gameplay, right? Teamwork.
Yeah.
After all this
Well,
game.
And the thing I'll add, in terms of like playing the timer versus playing like the dungeon, specifically in tournament play, that was one of the things that I always found most interesting about tournament versus live keys is very often on live keys, your goal is just like, what is it going to take to time this key and get to the next level? And then we do whatever that is, like whatever gets us past this key and onto the next, we do that. And then maybe once we've timed the key, we come back and try to do it faster. But like right now, let's just focus on getting it timed. But in tournament play, you can't play the timer. You have to play the other teams. And so there were a ton of times in practice where we would do a dungeon and it would feel good. It would feel fast. And we were like, all right, this is a good route. And then we'd have to stop and ask ourselves, like, do we think this route beats Echo? Like, it feels good. It's definitely clean. Is this route going to beat Echo? And a lot of times the answer was no, which is really annoying that you would be like, I like this route. I don't know how we would improve it without doing some like really risky, stupid stuff. But I just feel like it's missing something. And it's definitely, we're going to 3-chest the key. That's not a problem. But like, I'm not sure that we won't still lose by like 30 seconds to Echo. And that gives you a completely different mindset. Also changes the way you play a dungeon. Inside the dungeon itself, like as a healer, I know there was a lot of times where on live, you would be like, well, you know, I'm going to play kind of safe here because we're going to time the key no matter what, as long as I don't wipe. But in a tournament, you have no idea if you're going to win by like 1 second or 1 minute. So like every global becomes incredibly important. And you just get like really anxious because you're like, I need to be doing DPS every second I can. Like I have to be going faster because it might matter. And on a live key, I would know if we have a minute to spare, it's not super important that I press every DPS global I can. But in a tournament, I don't know which DPS global might be the difference between winning and losing. You've seen games decided by 0.01 seconds before. And so it's a completely different mindset for like how to play through the dungeon.
That's really good. I appreciate that. Casual, as the shot caller, which we just found out, at your level, is communication more important or is it more about trusting your team moment to moment?
It's a little bit of two different things, I think, because trusting is the perfect scenario, I would say, because if you don't trust what you're calling is gonna happen, then it's not good by its own, you know. There are a lot of times in the past that I have adapted to someone saying, I cannot do that here, I cannot do that here. So it gets a little bit frustrating sometimes. While if you have full trust and you're sure that you can call something and 100% will happen, then this is the perfect scenario. But communication is obviously the most important stuff. And in my opinion, I think there has to be awareness as well, because there might be a shot caller, but he's a human, he can make mistakes, he can make wrong calls, but someone has to got his back, right? So yeah, I would say awareness more than the communication would work better. in that question, at least.
Does your team have
because,
your back, Casual?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes.
Good.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But nowadays, how the keys are played, you have to trust your shot caller, and you have to trust the person that is doing the stop. Because if, let's say, Krims decides to do his stop on 0.1 second, and I get a heart attack because he does so, and I press my thing, then things get messy immediately. So
I'm sure trust has got to come into play. Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be trust. Otherwise, it's not working. There's no way it works.
JB, when something inevitably goes wrong, as things do from time to time, what has separated, or what do you think separates recovery from a full wipe as the healer or as a group?
I mean, a lot of times it's just luck. It's, do you have battle res available? Did like the right person die? If your tank dies, good luck. If you can recover that, I tip my cap to you. So a lot of times it's just, did you get lucky? Did somebody die on a part of the pool where it's like easy to battle res them? Or did they die right before they needed to get a kick on a really important spell cast? So I don't know. I don't know that any team really like practices wipe recovery. There might be that there's some polls that you do that are extraordinarily dangerous, and you just have to live with that risk. And you notice that there's a thing that goes wrong more often than you'd like it to, but you don't really know a way to prevent it from happening, and you feel like you have to do that pull to time the key. And then you may develop some contingency plans about like, all right, if we get bad RNG and a person dies to this thing, which happens sometimes, then be prepared to like get a backup stop on this thing and hopefully get them rezzed. So you may have some plans in place for something like that, but just in general terms, I mean, obviously good players usually are able to maybe make a play to keep a pull alive better than somebody who's not. If you've been playing the game for a long time, you tend to go into react mode and try to mitigate the damage. But yeah, I mean, I think the difference between a recovery and a wipe most often just comes down to like, we got lucky that it wasn't at a really critical time in the fight that a bad thing happened.
I gotcha. Yeah, most of my wipe recovery is non-existent. Usually I can't handle it. So that's why I'm not 4K. That's all right. It's all good. Krims, last question for this topic. Do you think that you specifically, or players at your level, do you guys see the game differently? Do you see the game faster, or is it even explainable?
Yes, I think so. I think it's explainable. It's when you put this many hours into something, it just naturally happens that you are better at it, right? So you see more things during the dungeon that happen and how you can improve yourself. And yeah, I mean, I think if you put a casual player next to me, or casual or JB, it's gonna be a bit of a different level of understanding how the game works, right? So yeah, they won't see that there's a cast on them. They won't react as quickly. They will miss like 1 or 2 globals here and there because I don't know, their health is dropping low. They will just be less confident, and yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
We have about 5 minutes left. You guys okay if we go over a few minutes? I don't want to hold anyone hostage if you have somewhere to be, but could I have an extra 5 or 10 minutes from you guys just so we can finish up the future of Mythic Plus and where we're going?
I don't mind.
Thank you very much. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. If you got to go, please don't be afraid to say so. This is your show, need I remind you. I do want to talk about the future of Mythic Plus real quick before we get out of here. You guys have done a fantastic job explaining your mentality, your decision-making, your history, and whatnot, so thank you very much. And Casual, I'm going to shoot over to you initially. With all the changes coming with Midnight, everything we know so far, where do you think things are going to land Season 1 and beyond? Like, what do you think the future of high-end Mythic Plus looks like right now?
If you give me my Omni CD, my targeted spells, and my plater, I'm ready to go.
But what if you don't have any of that?
Improvise, adapt, overcome. I would say.
Do you think that...
But in the end of the day, we all play with the same game, the same rules, right? So if I have struggle doing stuff, then Holy Method will have struggle doing stuff as well. So we're playing with the same tools. So it's the same thing. I don't know.
To kind of tack on to my question, do you think things are going to improve for high-end Mythic play, high-end Mythic Plus play gameplay? Man, I can't talk.
It's a bit early, I think. It's a bit, or maybe I'm hoping it's early. Maybe that's my hope, but I think there are still things that will be developed that will help that process. So, talking about today, no improvements will be seen. But if you trust the process, maybe.
Do you trust the process?
I do, yes, but I'm just positive. That's all.
Jdotb, same question. Do you trust the process?
I mean, I don't know that you could find somebody more distrustful of the process than me at the moment. I don't think Blizzard has done anything in its 20 years of WoW that has shown that they know how to develop a UI. In fact, that's been their MO, is not developing their UI. Rather famously, they have just left their default UI more or less untouched for basically the entire existence of WoW. So for them to say like, no, we've got a few months before the expansion launches, trust us, we'll figure this out. It's like, why would I do that? Why would I trust you? You've done nothing to earn that trust. And I don't say that to be like mean or negative. It's just from a rational point of view, you know, that it's the thing that like trust is earned, and you've done nothing to earn that trust. You've shown me nothing to make me believe that you're any more capable of developing a good UI, a good replacement UI over add-ons versus some random guy off the street. So no, I don't trust it. I think the expansion will launch in a state that, now, like I said, this is for my expectations of a UI.
Right.
It will fall far short of my expectations of a UI. There will be plenty of people that play Midnight who think the UI is perfectly fine for what they want to do, and they will have no issues with it. So that is just a mismatch in terms of what we're expecting out of it. But no, I don't think any way that Blizzard comes out with a UI, especially before Midnight launches, that makes me happy. And I don't think they'll ever come up with a UI that makes me happy.
Crims, I've given both of them a chance to respond. Would you like to chime in?
Yes, I really hope that Blizzard at least makes the game for solo players more enjoyable and less stressful and less RNG, because the amount of kicks and stops that you have to do in Priory of Sacred Flame, it comes in 150 at least. 150 interrupts per dungeon to not die. So as long as Blizzard fixes interrupts and stops, I will be completely fine with playing the game. Like, I will actually have fun, enjoy it. But like, whenever I just queue up into a group finder keystone, I just know that things are so random that it's just unbearable to play. Like, it really is unbearable to play because everything is just so random. The game requires so much coordination that it's just not feasible for a group without voice and without like proper coordination to time the keystone. It legit comes down to RNG. So as long as they fix interrupts so that there's not like casters casting all the time where you need like two people kick one caster all the time, I will be fine with the game. I really hope that this comes at midnight.
Me too, after. Buddy. Me too.
Yeah.
Casual, where do you think dungeon design is headed? I mean, we've already had time on the alpha, but now the beta for however many weeks. Do you think things are going to be unfolding faster, slower? Do you think mechanics are going to be more punishing, less punishing, more accessible, less accessible? I've heard a lot of people's feedback on this so far.
Yeah, I have seen some interviews of dungeon developers that have been done, they kind of said that their approach is to have less casters, but the mobs, instead of doing more casts, they will do more group damage instead of focusing the damage to one person, like shots, for example, or the Houndmasters from Halls of Atonement, for example. So instead, the mechanic will be focused on group damage instead of one person damage. The kicks almost felt the same, at least from the beta dungeons that I've tested. It feels like there are some kicks that are there, but on the other hand, I don't know if you're aware, but they have changed the spell log of the kicks. For example, if you were kicking a mob as a rogue on that season, that current season, it's 4 or 5 seconds lockout. On the next season, it's 7 seconds lockout. So that by itself, it makes kicks slightly easier, but that doesn't mean if you have a pool with like 5, 6, 7 caster, I think the coordination has to still be there on those pools. Like Algethar Academy, the pool before Vexamus, it has like 10 casters or something, if you want to pull it all together. So, I don't know. I don't see the approach that they are talking about in the dungeons, but I don't know. Maybe there will be some reworks, some changes. I'm not sure.
JB, do you think the top end community is going to be getting bigger or smaller over the next expansion?
Well, I think that might be kind of a trick question because I think that the high end community might expand, but only because I think it might flatten. If there's less in the way of like if Blizzard does simplify dungeons with respect to add-ons, if they make less, if you need to stop less kicks, get do less coordination with crowd control, make maybe like healing checks less punishing because it's harder to see spellcasts on the nameplates, things like that. Then it may just be easier to time dungeons across the board. So it may make it so that it's easier to achieve the highest possible sort of scores in dungeons. So it may be that it's not necessarily that the top end gets bigger. It may just be easier to it may not be that there's like more people at the top end playing. It just may be that there's less distance needed to get to the top, and so the top end ends up bigger, even if it's not as many people playing. But I don't know. To be honest, I have very few predictions about what Mythic Plus is going to look like next expansion because it's
everything's still so much up in the air.
It's not even that. It's that if there's one thing that I feel like I've taken from the past like 2 or 3 months of Blizzard communication, it's that whatever I think is good or what the things I would like to see in the game, it always seems to be the exact opposite direction Blizzard is moving. So the suggestions and feedback that I would give would get, we'd see a 180 from all those things. And so I feel like any prediction I have is invariably going to be with certain assumptions about how Blizzard should do things. And I feel like all I've learned is that it definitely won't be those things that Blizzard is going to do. So I have no idea where next expansion is going.
Well, speaking of things you want to see in the game, we had a question much earlier from Lonk0707 that I want to get to before we get out of here. And he asks, going into Midnight, are there any changes that you want to see for the Mythic Plus format, whether it's affixes, timers, key levels, resilient keys, whatever? So JB, I'm going to toss it back to you, man. What do you want to see changed, if anything?
I've actually been very happy with the changes Blizzard has made in Mythic Plus over the years. There's a thing I was talking about actually yesterday on stream that I think it'll be funny in Classic Legion when we get around to that inevitably. If they bring back a literal copy of the Mythic Plus system from Legion, how much worse that was. And if you weren't there to experience it, I don't know that you would appreciate just how much more painful Mythic Plus used to be back then in terms of like the affixes and depletion. And it was a much worse system. And I think it has improved tremendously over time. But the thing I've ultimately advocated for forever is I think that you should just be able to pick the level of key you want to do. I don't think there should be any depletion. I think you should just be able. Now, maybe you have to work your way up or whatever, but like, I never ever want to have to do a homework key again for the rest of my life. I never want to go into a key, deplete it, and then have to play a key I don't want to play to get back that same key. It's one of the reasons why I loved tournament play so much, is because I could just go sit in the dungeon that I actually want to do all day long and work on that dungeon until we get it done. And then when we get it done, then I move on to another dungeon that I want to do and spend all day doing that. And so and Blizzard's been kind of moving this way. I don't know if we'll ever fully get there, but the one thing I've always wanted from Mythic Plus is just let me do the key I want to do. Don't make me go do a key I don't want to do.
You feel like that would you'd run into an issue to where one or two keys would never be touched at that point in time, other than maybe score?
Maybe make those dungeons better. maybe that should be a big like flashing neon light that like nobody's ever going into this dungeon.
What? I can't hear you over the sound of Dawnbreaker. What was that? Speak up a little louder. Krim, same question to you, man. Any changes you want to see for Mythic Plus going into Midnight?
I kind of agree with JB when he said that over the years, Mythic Plus really has improved. I feel like, I started playing not in Legion, but I started playing in BFA Season 4. So it's not, I don't know as much as JB knows about how Mythic Plus looked like back in the days, but I feel like I am very happy with how Mythic Plus looks like. I just want to dungeons not be that dependent on interrupts and stops, because I really like playing alone as well, not in a coordinated group always. I just want to, log into the game, queue up into group final key, and want to time it at like similar level to where I would time it with a team. But it really is close to impossible to time 21 Priory. Right now, 21 Priory is the highest keystone you can time on live key, and the highest keystone has been timed. It just feels completely impossible to do it with non-voice and non-coordinated group. Like it just not doesn't happen. Like interrupts one-shot you and you need to just coordinate all of them. It's just, I just want the game to be less about interrupts, less of an Uldaman / Priory / Vortex Pinnacle dungeons. Yeah.
I love that. I agree with you 100% there. Casual, same question. Mythic Plus, what do you want to see moving into Midnight?
Okay. I can thank Blizzard for improving M+ from the past seasons. That's cool. But moving on, I would love to see Resilient removed, because I think Resilient benefits only two categories of people. One is boosters. It's benefiting boosters. And the second thing that I see Resilient being good is if, let's say, I'm playing a tournament with my team and the tournament realm is closed for 5 days, so I can go back to retail and practice. That's the only usage I see, because I'm a bit more strict on the homework key stuff. I'm more to the side, like you have one opportunity of 22 Priory example. Will you take it and time it, or you will stay there like 5 days because it's Resilient, and you will time it just because it's Resilient, or make the good timer? So I'm a bit strict to it. I'm more to the side of try-harding, doing it that one opportunity you have, and that's it. And also, one extra thing is I hate raid buffs, because lately the Mythic Plus meta is all around who is providing the most for the team, most likely. No, not exactly, because, okay, if a class cannot perform, you will not just bring it just because it has buffs. But looking at the tanks, the healers, they're just there to buff the DPSers lately. It's not like some other stuff. So I'm not a big fan of raid buffs. I would love to see them. I love to get rid of them.
JB, raid buffs, love them, hate them. What do you think?
Come on, I play Druid, man.
Yeah, because he has a buff, he gets invites. He's good.
Yeah.
He's happy.
Yeah, I think they're great.
How about your Evoker?
Love them.
Crims, what about you? Raid buffs, get rid of them, keep them? What do you think?
I think get rid of them.
Hey, man. JB, you're the odd man out. Sorry, man. 3-1.
No, I will agree. I don't think raid buffs have ever been a good... I made a suggestion on Twitter one time, and then somebody said, "Oh, that's how they do it in Final Fantasy," and I was like, "Well, then count me a fan of." I guess in Final Fantasy, it's just for every unique spec that you have in a group, you get like some stacking buff from that, like some percentage of
that's cool.
damage and
I didn't know
healing.
that.
And that just seems like such an obvious solution of like encourage diversity for sure. That seems to be what the point of raid buffs are, is to get you to bring different stuff. And if every unique spec in your party or raid just gives you increased damage and healing by X%, then I feel like you have solved the problem of wanting to get people to bring unique things. And it's no longer, well, I have to bring this particular unique thing to my group because it's better than this other particular unique thing.
Yeah, I've never. I don't play Final Fantasy 14, so I hadn't heard of that before. But that's really cool. I like that idea because I think you're right. It is one way to promote diversity in that sense. That's neat. Blizzard, you should do that. All right, we have a quick Twitch chat question from Kiera Swirl. Would you guys have any advice for someone who's stuck in the research part of Mythic Plus and feels like they can't play until they know everything? They're trying to help a friend out. I feel like you can't learn everything, obviously. So how do you get someone to stop worrying about not knowing everything and just to get in there and start playing?
I mean, it's tough. Like, it's one of those things that's it's easy to give the advice and then hard to follow it sometimes, because I think in Mythic Plus, there is, I think anybody doing keys is, or anything difficult where you're especially in a group setting and other people rely on you. There's obviously the fear that you're going to screw something up and then people are going to get mad at you. I think the easiest way to get around that is just to get comfortable with going in and screwing things up. And it's one thing as a streamer that I think has helped with that mentality, is you stream things and people watch you. Like, it's not just even the people in your group. It's a lot of people watch you screw things up. And I think it makes you more comfortable doing that. Like, it's like, oh, the chat's seen me screw up way worse than this in the past. And so you just develop a sort of a thicker skin for that kind of thing. And you realize it's not the end of the world. Okay, I screwed up. We wiped, maybe my team got mad. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But it's not the end of the world. You get back up, dust yourself off, go again. And nobody that was successful at anything in life did it perfectly the first time. And it's the people that are afraid of, that's a lot of times like what the one trick mentality is in WoW, is people that are afraid to try other things. And you don't want to be bad at something for long enough to get good at it. And that will hold you back. And so you just have to accept that, like, part of getting better is getting worse first. Like, you're going to have to branch out into new things. You're not going to do them perfectly every time. And there's no getting around. Sometimes the people in your group are assholes and they're going to yell at you. That's life. And you just, if you don't like that, then you're probably not going to have fun in Mythic Plus. You have to be able to, like, let that stuff go in one ear and out the other and move on.
Don't yell, do better, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you guys one more question to get you out of here. You guys have been extremely patient and extremely giving with your time and your perspective, so thank you again so much. I'm going to start with you, Casual. If you could send one message to Blizzard right now about high-end Mythic Plus, about Mythic Plus in general, what would it be?
The things that I already said. Remove raid buffs, remove resilient. I'm pretty happy with those, not gonna lie. I'm gonna be happy.
Crims, what do you think, man? One thing, one message to Blizzard about high-end Mythic Plus or Mythic Plus in general.
Just make more dungeons like Floodgate. First part of Floodgate before you go into a kelp pool, where you can solo interrupt mobs, and less of a dungeons like Priory and Halls of Atonement, where
What about
there are a lot
Dawnbreaker?
of casters that need to be interrupted. Dawnbreaker is the same. You get bolted, you die. It shouldn't be that way. Make the game less about that and more about dealing with mechanics of the mobs, like in Floodgate.
And deal damage.
And do damage.
All right, JB, bring it home, man. One message to Blizzard about high-end Mythic Plus or Mythic Plus in general.
Yeah, I think I'd reiterate. I don't want to do homework keys anymore. Just let me play the dungeons I want to play. Now, obviously, even within this very chat, I have people that disagree with my point on that. So I'm not expecting it, but yeah, I would like to be allowed to simply queue the dungeons I want to queue all the time.
Man, you guys, thank you again for being here today and for carving out time out of your weekend. I know it's not easy. I know it's not always possible, but for real, thank you so much. Casual, can you one more time, real quick, just tell everyone who you are and where they can find you, please?
Yes, I'm Casual Addict. I'm streaming on almost daily basis on Twitch. Casual Addict. I don't know how this thing is called in English. That next to my name. Underscore that thing. So they can find me on my Twitch channel. Usually I'm streaming high keys content with my team. If not, it will be something like beta. So yeah, that's where they can find me. Or my YouTube channel, I upload videos of keystones. And that's it, pretty much.
Krim, same thing, man. Where can people find you?
I'm Crims, and I'm under Twitch TV/CrimsXX. So you can find me there. I'm always streaming in Plus. I never stream anything else. Almost. Maybe some Raid from time to time, but it's a boring content these days. So
Jdotb, bring it home, man. Where can people find you?
Jdotb everywhere.
That was so, I love it. Simplicity at its best. Guys, for the 18th time, thank you so much. Next week, episode 6, we've got content creators, Luxthos, Touchpad Warrior, Soul So Breezy. That's going to be a late show. I think we're starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't fact check, or don't take me at my word there. Fact check me as the promotional materials come out. But man, give it up for yourselves. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here today, gentlemen, and sharing with us what it is to operate at your level. And I hope you guys, in relation to the audience, have learned some stuff. And thank you so much for the audience questions today. I'll see you guys next week for the next episode of Brutally Honest, a WoW podcast. Until then,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, man.
for having us.
And that's a wrap on episode 5 of Brutally Honest, a WoW podcast. I'm so thankful these guys sat down with me and talked about stuff today. Please make sure you go follow them and on their Twitches, their YouTubes, go sub to them, go show them a lot of love and support. These guys know what they're talking about. They are the real deal. Obviously, they are performing day in and day out on their channels. So if you want to learn some stuff, if you want to support them, go, go, go. Next week, Luxthos, Touchpad Warrior, Soul So Breezy. You're not going to want to miss this episode, or that episode, I should say, about content creation and what their thoughts and opinions are in relation to Midnight. My name is Brutal. Get out of here. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all the normal stuff. I don't need to spell it out for you. This is 2025, almost 2026. We know what to do on YouTube videos and stuff like that. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.